I basically thought of this in terms of like what a client might want from you in terms of 4 steps in a process. So at the first step would be strategy. So there's a lot that can go into that, but we're talking about things like mapping out the sequence, deciding what offers to include, deciding on the cadence, what kind of triggers you're going to use, maybe even things like customer analysis. If you're doing like voice of customer research and you're doing customer interviews, like that kind of thing can be sort of lumped under strategy. The next thing is copy. So once the campaign's mapped out, you need someone to actually go ahead and write the copy for each of those emails. Then you have design. In my experience, most SaaS businesses are using email templates, or they have something that's extremely minimal, just kind of like plain text. And then the last thing is implementation into the email system. So someone needs to actually make sure that all of those emails are going to go to the right people at the right time. So if we look at each of those, so starting with strategy, that has a huge influence on the results of the campaign. And not a whole lot of people can do that well. Relatively few people can do it well. Same thing with copy. Copy has a massive influence on the results that you're going to get, and not that many people can do that well either. When it comes to design, again, since most businesses are using email templates, that sort of takes out of the equation the idea of like, can other people do this well? And also design an email, particularly in like B2B email. I don't have data in front of me or anything like that, but design has a much smaller influence in your results than copy does. And then finally, implementation, like obviously that has to be done correctly, but in my experience, most SaaS businesses are able to train someone in-house to do that, or they have someone in-house who is in charge of that. And there isn't really a whole lot of value in outsourcing that part of it. And there are exceptions to that, of course. So what do I suggest then in terms of, for a copywriter asking this question? I would say you want to focus heavily on the first 2 things, strategy and copy, because they are the most valuable part of the process. And since you're a copywriter, those kinds of things are within your core strengths, or at least the core strengths that you're trying to develop. One other thing that Josh, you and I have talked about in the past is like that neither of us are willing to get involved in the email system of our clients. My reason is that I like to sleep at night, and if something goes wrong, I do not want that phone call. I don't want that email of, hey, you sent this, all went out to the wrong segment, and now we have to scrap together apology emails and deal with telling everyone in the organization that you screwed up. So that is most of it. The other things that I'll add is that sometimes clients will come to you and they'll say, we already have the strategy figured out. We just need you to write the copy. In very early on in your career, that can actually be kind of like a blessing, because then you can focus on just the copy part. But over time, I think that most people, if you want to get paid more and do more impactful work, then you're going to want to start pushing back when clients tell you that they already have the strategy figured out, and you're going to want to at least be involved, like as a partner in coming up with that strategy, or maybe even kind of take it over. And the reason for that, again, is just that it's going to increase the value. You can charge more, and so on. The only exception to what I've said so far is that, if you decide to go all in on email, I'm sure there could be some clients who would benefit from having like the soup to nuts service, where you're going to do the strategy, you're going to do the copy, you're going to give them the templates or the design for each email, and you're going to go ahead and put it into their system. It's just not something that I've ever done, and it's not something that I think most copywriters aspire to. So to sum up everything that I've said so far, I would say you want to focus really heavily on being part of the strategy, and obviously the copy, design, and implementation are things that you could have a great career never touching either of those things.